Welcome to the Week 19 Tech and Productivity Update. We've got a bit to cover, so let's just get started. On the 7th, which is today, OpenAI released 3 new real-time voice models. So we got GPT Realtime 2, Realtime Translate, and Realtime Whisper. So starting with Realtime 2, it is a voice model with what they're calling GPT-5 class reasoning. So much better than what we have right now. I believe the current voice you use when you talk to ChatGPT just in the regular app or on the web is still the 4.0 model, because it's the one that supports voice and without having to go through multiple models to do that. So we'll see if they actually add it to the app. Right now, it's only available through the API. Another important change is that they're increasing the context from the previous version from 32K to 128K. So that's the maximum tokens they can have in context. So definitely a nice bump. In terms of pricing, it looks really expensive. It's $32 per 1 million audio input tokens, not just regular tokens, and then $64 per 1 million audio output tokens. So what is that? So it's a little bit difficult to actually calculate. Roughly, we're looking at something like 5 cents to around 15 cents per minute, and that's counting input and output. It really depends on how much talking you're doing to the model and how much talking the model is doing to you. And if we compare it to the previous model, Realtime 1, I think it's roughly in the ballpark. So not much of a difference, or it might actually be even the same price. But you are supposed to be getting a much more intelligent model. Next up, we have Realtime Translate, which is a live translation model, and it supports 70 plus input languages, and it'll then translate them to 13 output languages. And so the price for that is going to be around 3 cents per minute. This is an audio model. So you're talking to the model, then it's translating audio out. So that is Realtime Translate. Next up, we have Realtime Whisper, which is a transcription model. It is the new streaming speech to text model. It transcribes live speech. So it's not just processing it and then outputting the transcript, it's transcribing in real time. And the price for that is going to be just slightly under 2 cents per minute. So pretty good. So these new models are going to be especially useful if you happen to be putting together applications that have to do with speech, working with customers, or any type of a pipeline where you are transcribing text, where you are interacting with AIs via speech. So on the phone or through an app or even on a website. A lot of interesting new options that developers are going to have for that. OpenAI mentions a couple of examples like booking hotels, searching for flights using AI agents, and doing that with their new APIs. So basically just getting rid of the entire UI and just letting the experience be all done through voice, which is pretty nice. So here's how the new model stacks up compared to the previous version, Realtime 1.5. This is the Big Bench audio intelligence benchmark. So going from an accuracy of 81% to 96%. And then on the audio multi-challenge instruction following benchmark, we're looking at an improvement going from 34% to 48%. So really nice improvements. If you happen to be in the space working with audio and agents, then these are going to be some interesting models for you to take a look at. And as with most model releases, they've partnered with a couple of companies and they are seeing their praises on how much better these audio models are for working with customers and streamlining their pipelines and their workflows and all that good stuff. Next up, Google is continuing to lay the groundwork for their 24/7 desktop agent, which internally is called Remy. And the reason we know about this is because people have been going through the code of the Gemini app and have found some strings, some pieces of text that mention this agent Remy, and then that has been confirmed with anonymous Google employees. And so it seems that this is going to be their direct competitor to Claude Desktop, which is just a way to make it easier for people that are not quite so technically minded and are perhaps not as comfortable working in the command line to use AI to automate all kinds of everyday work tasks. So it's going to be able to take actions for you on the web, and you're going to be able to connect different apps and skills to it. So this is being internally tested. We're not sure if it's actually going to be released, but most likely that it will at some point in the near future. This week, OpenAI also released another model along with their real-time models. It's GPT-5.5 Instant. And so this model is set to replace GPT-5.3 Instant as ChatGPT's default model. It promises fewer hallucinations and factual errors, especially in what OpenAI is calling high-stakes areas like medicine, law, and finance, areas where you would expect the AI to be honest about the limitations of its knowledge. So at least that's what they're promising. The model also features stronger visual reasoning, math, and science benchmarks. It's also supposed to respond in shorter, clear, and a warmer tone, essentially a less yappy model. In addition, they also released memory sources. So as you're chatting with a ChatGPT on the web or through the app, you'll be able to actually see where the context is coming from with regards to previous conversations or other pieces of information that it might have that are not immediately obvious to you. So here's a test of that. based on what we've chatted about, what should I do this weekend? And it started to pull information from a bunch of different conversations and discussions that I've had. The new part is this right here, the sources button at the bottom. If I click on that, it'll show how it actually figured that out. So we can see it's actually pulling from 18 separate sources, from a saved memory, from past chats, and even a file from right here. So now is it not only able to better pull information from previous conversations, you're able to get an insight into what those conversations were, why is it now suggesting this information, just so you know where it's coming from. And if we take a look at some of the benchmarks OpenAI is using to show the improvements in scientific reasoning, multimodal reasoning, we can see that there's definitely a nice bump compared to a GPT-5.3 Instant, which is the previous version. So for example, in this one, in the scientific chart reasoning benchmark, we're going from 75% to 81%. In multimodal reasoning, we were going from 69% to 76%. So definitely nice bumps across the board. This is a document parsing benchmark, and this is actually looking at the average error rate. So they've reduced the error for document parsing. They've increased the benchmark a little bit for PhD level science and competition math. And here they also have got some examples of the verbosity of the model. Here is 5.3 Instant. We've got an emoji here, and it's kind of a lot of M dashes, a lot of text, a lot of spacing. And this is the 5.5 Instant version. So just a bit tighter, a bit more concise, less text, straight to the point is the idea. And I've got a couple more examples here. This one's showing how the responses are now more personalized. So for example, the user is asking, what new tea place should I try? And then it just gives a generic example here. This is 5.3 Instant. You should try this place and this place. Maybe if you're around this area. For the same question, it's able to pull the context from previous conversations, since you've already hit Asha Tea House pretty often and seem to prefer cleaner Taiwan high mountain tea vibes over sugary boba. And then it goes on. And so it's just showing how it's going to give you much better answers because it has better context to previous conversations and memories. And here they're showing how in the memory source panel, you can actually make a correction in case the model references a memory or a previous conversation that maybe you're discussing something that now is no longer relevant, or they made a mistake. You can actually make the correction. So the next time it references it, it's not going to bring up information that is incorrect or is maybe now irrelevant. Next up, Mistral dropped their Medium 3.5 model, plus remote agents, plus Le Chat work mode. So let's start with the new model, which is Mistral Medium 3.5. The 128 billion parameter open model with a 256K context compared to some of the other leading labs. That's starting to feel a bit short, but it's still good enough for a lot of things. And if we look at the price, it's $1.50 per million input tokens and $7.50 per million output tokens. The model was specifically trained for long horizon tasks, just tasks and projects that take a long time, a lot of iterations, a lot of steps. It's also supposed to feature better tool use and structured outputs. This is now also the new default for Mistral Vibe and Le Chat. And Mistral Vibe, I believe, is their coding platform, which I believe is similar to Claude's desktop coding application and also OpenAI's Codex. And Le Chat is their ChatGPT. It's their web chat application, and it's also available on mobile devices. The next update was remote agents. So now Mistral lets you run coding agents in the cloud asynchronously and in parallel, and then notifies you when it's done. So you can start a session from their command line interface, Mistral CLI, or Le Chat, which is their web chat interface for the mobile app, and you'll be able to code on the cloud in a container. And then when it's done, it'll let you know so you can push it to a repository like GitHub. You can also do this thing called teleport, which lets you start a local command line coding session, and then at some point teleport that to the cloud, and then it starts running in the cloud, and then you can pull it back down when it's done. So basically just offload work when you don't want to be at your computer or you have to go somewhere or for whatever reason, and it'll let you know it's done. You can then deploy from the cloud or bring it back to your machine and continue to work on it from there. And finally, Le Chat work mode, which is their new agentic work mode. So it's just better support for research and using connected tools, the kinds of things we've seen with other AI platforms that are really trying to make it a lot simpler for everyday users to access these AI tools, which is especially great for people who aren't so comfortable messing with APIs, the terminal, our command line interface tools, things like that. Here we have some benchmarks for Medium 3.5. We can see how it stacks up to a lot of the major Chinese models and also Claude's models on SW Bench Verified, T3 Telecom, T3 Airline, which is a new one for me, T3 Retail, T3 Banking, and BrowseCom. And so while it is an open model, it's very unlikely any of us are going to be running this on our machines anytime soon. I think they mentioned that it's doable with a machine that has somewhere around 4 dedicated GPUs. So that's not most of us right now, unless you happen to be running AI models for fun or profit. Still, it's a lot better than some of these other open models, which are really kind of impossible to run unless you happen to have a data center on hand. So while technically you could run them, you could actually have these models and run them locally. Locally would actually mean you have a server cluster in your garage or something like that. Even so, it's nice to see Mistral continue to contribute to the open source AI space. Next up, the party is over, unfortunately, for GitHub Copilot users, as GitHub is going to be charging per token. So on June 1st, all Copilot plans are going to migrate to this new usage-based credit system. Before, you had a certain number of tokens and you could use them however you wanted, whether it was a very simple chat message or you were telling the AI a very complicated set of instructions, and it actually burned a lot of tokens and was very expensive for the company to run. So it seems now they're basically just charging you for whatever it's going to cost them. The way it works now is there's still a subscription as before, and you get to use as many tokens as your subscription will allow. After that, they let you buy extra AI credits. So for example, if you had Copilot Pro, that's $10 a month, you get $10 a month worth of tokens to use. After that, you can buy additional AI credits. Same for all the other plans. I think Enterprise might get some additional credits, but that's pretty much it. So yeah, sad news for the GitHub Copilot subscribers. Obviously, these users were getting much more than their subscription is actually costing the company. They were burning more than $10 worth of tokens or even $40 worth of tokens. The reality is that these prices were not sustainable in the long run. They were burning too much money too fast, and those subscriptions were nowhere near the price they needed to be to cover the costs for the AI inference. Next up, Notion released a whole slew of custom agent updates. The first one is that custom agents can now be added to private Slack channels. I don't know why you would want to do that. That honestly seemed like a privacy issue, but enough people wanted it that they added it. Next up, we have custom agent controls for admins. So admins can now choose who on the team can actually create those agents. They can set per agent and per workspace credit limits. So someone on your team isn't just creating agents willy-nilly and spending all the company's tokens. There's also a new dashboard to view that usage and spending and who's actually doing that. And lastly, they added a custom agent directory, which lets everybody on the team browse the workspace agents that are available and also create new ones. So it just kind of centralizes all the agents for the company or on the team, and you can share them with your coworkers. And lastly, Workflowy updated their Chrome and Firefox clippers. This is important because the last major update to the Workflowy web clippers was in 2020, I believe. It's been 6 years. So this is definitely a major update, and it shows you can clip text, pages, and also multiple tabs at the same time, and then put those wherever you want in your Workflowy account. Here's what that extension looks like. You get a bunch of different settings. You can choose how you actually clip the information, whether it's just copied to your clipboard, and then it opens up Workflow and you can paste it where you want. You can also insert it without having to open up Workflowy. And you can also choose to view the Workflowy tab on one side of your screen and then whatever else you're browsing on the other. So this is going to be really great for doing research or shopping around and you're pulling information on different products, checking the best prices. You can also set shortcuts and format how the information is clipped. So if you happen to use Workflowy, this is definitely an extension worth checking out. And that's it for your week 19 tech and productivity update. Be sure to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next updates. Until then, I'll see you in the next one.